Rose is known as the Witch of the Lake. She lives in a cabin by the outskirts of the capital. It is well hidden in the depths of the thick forest and is surrounded by a lake. A tiny boat serves as the only transportation between her cottage and the forest. Rose inherited her mother's craft, a legacy of witchcraft born into her blood. After her mother's early passing, she was raised by her grandmother until her death 4 years ago, leaving Rose to navigate the world entirely alone. Travelers frequent the hermitage in search of the witch's legendary concoctions. These elixirs, infused with ancient magic and unique properties, can be crafted by no ordinary hand. It is the promise of these bottled wonders that draws crowds from afar, most arriving cloaked and hooded to keep their identities, and their intentions, a secret. And today, she found her doorstep graced by the one person she never anticipated seeing, Harij Azam himself. He is an elite knight that works at the royal palace and is tasked to directly report to the princess. He is someone that Rose assumes will never have any business with a witch like her. As she looks at him, only one question remains. What kind of potion does a man of his power desperately need from someone like her? Approaching her, he pulls away his dark cloak, unveiling a face marked by resolve. He offers a brief, breathless apology for the intrusion before cutting straight to his demand. He wants her to craft a love potion for him. Caught off guard, it took her few seconds to understand what he just said. Once recovered, she instinctively tries to discourage him by claiming the elixirs are no longer available. He swiftly demands she makes a new batch. But she counters it with the rarity of the ingredients and the extremely high cost. Yet for every hurdle she raises, he offers a prompt, cold rebuttal. The debate ends when Harij makes it clear that his request is not optional, but a command she is bound to fulfill. Left with zero excuses, Rose accepts the task with a heavy finality. In that very moment, the love potion is not just a commissioned order. It becomes her very own first heartbreak. Baka is unknown to Harij. For years Rose has been harboring romantic feelings for him from the shadows, fully aware that a lowly witch and a royal knight are worlds apart. She never expected him to even know her name, let alone return her feelings, yet watching him seek a potion to love another is a pain she had to endure as she always had, in total silence. 4 years ago, shortly after her grandmother passed away, Rose had to travel to the capital to replenish ingredients for her potion making. It was her first time to go there alone. Accustomed to the quiet sanctuary of her island, Rose found herself drowning in the town's sudden roar of merriment. It was not an unpleasant noise, but it was a foreign one, a rhythm she didn't know how to dance to. When she realized she could not even find the shops her grandmother once loved, a wave of self-pity washed over her. She felt small, lost, and utterly pathetic. As she roamed around the market, a group of men caught her attention when they talked loudly about the deceased witch of the lake. She swung her head over their direction upon hearing them mention her grandmother, but she said nothing. The men continued to blabber false rumors that her grandmother, who was over 2 centuries old, tarnished the reputation of nearby town, and if bothered even in the slightest, may devour children just for spite. And so they were relieved that she had finally left their land. Rose felt tremendous pain for her grandmother, who had been nothing but loving and caring. She wondered if she had known this was how people thought of her and had endured it all by herself. As she bowed her head, resisting to burst in anger, she heard a voice scold the group of men. It was not loud, but it was commanding. He said that it was disturbing for anyone to find consolation over a death of another person. The men tried to defend that the one they were referring to was a witch, but the man continued. He said that witches are human too, and if it were him, he would curse anyone who would rejoice over his demise, and so they better pray hard that the one who died is a good witch. He stood and walked away, disgusted by their remarks. His dark blue cloak billowing with his every stride, a silent testament to his rank within the order. As a number of knights fell into step behind him, the crowd erupted in hushed whispers. They knew that silhouette well. It was Sir Harij Azam, a high-ranking royal guard and the formidable liege lord of Hythelon. For Rose, it was love at first sight, a sudden, heart-stopping realization. It's like spring right after winter, spreading warmth along the whole length of her body. She never imagined a day would come that a Cupid's arrow will hit her squarely in her heart. Yet, in that same breath, she is well aware of the circumstances that she had fallen for a man who walks among the stars. Their lives are worlds apart. His is a fortress, hers is the wilderness. It will never intertwine. This is the bitter truth. Returning to the present, Rose sets to work on the love potion. To speed the process, Harij offers his assistance in gathering the necessary ingredients. Each time he returns with a new item, Rose notes with genuine awe how carefully they had been obtained. Yet, Every time he believes his task is complete, Rose would request another item. Harij's composure finally fractures. He questions why she would not simply give him the full list of ingredients at once. Rose does not argue, she simply retreats into the folds of her cloak, shielding herself from his gaze. He softened instantly, offering a hurried apology for his outburst. To his bewilderment, Rose surfaces from her cloak with a look of pure wonder, struck by how radiant he appears in the dim light. It made no sense to her. People sought out love potions because they are insecure, or because their beloved is out of reach or is already spoken for. But looking at him, Rose realizes with a sting of jealousy that even a man who seemed to have everything still has someone he wishes would fall in love with him. To him, Rose is just a stranger. She knows with painful clarity that he has never even noticed her before, whereas she had fallen for him the moment their paths first crossed. That is the sum of their history, a one-sided devotion. All she could do now is delay the brewing process, stealing a few more minutes of his time before the love potion is finished. She is not asking for his heart. She is far too realistic for that. She only wishes that, in the years to come, he might occasionally remember the witch on the island. The next few days, she waits patiently completing her usual chores. While doing her laundry, she chooses between two potions, one that is sprinkled on clothes before going on a date, and one for stubborn stains. After contemplating, she adds the potion for dating, all the while justifying to herself that she has no ulterior motives, especially it is on day that she is not expecting Harij. Also, he only visits her at night. She then starts shampooing her hair. To her dismay, the bell by her boat rings. It is a bell covered with enchantment. It automatically sounds whenever someone or something is nearby. When she checks on it, she sees no one except for a deer smugly looking back at her. She sighs in exasperation and dives into the lake for a bath to calm her heart. Lately, she feels anxious. The bell only rings occasionally, once every few months to be exact. This is why her heart pounds whenever she hears it. She closes her eyes as she reminds herself that Harij does not come to specially see her. He travels to do business with the witch and not her as Rose, so even if she smells good or covered with dirt, it will not have any bearing to him. The following day brings a welcome interruption. A visit from Tian Kong, a trusted merchant and a longtime friend. More than just a supplier, Tian is the bridge between Rose's solitude and the outside world. He arrives laden with the rare ingredients for her craft and the essentials for her home, ready to collect her latest tonics to distribute to the bustling towns beyond her island. Tian is caught off guard when Rose asks if he has any robes in stock, an item she has ignored for years. She has never been interested with her looks. Her closet only contains necessities to survive her throughout the changing seasons. Attempting to sound nonchalant, Rose quickly makes excuses, claiming her only one robe is simply worn out and needs replacing. Seizing the moment, Tian unveils a selection of exquisite, vibrantly colored robes. He brushes off her concerns about the cost, insisting it is a long overdue gift to celebrate her officially inheriting the title Witch of the Lake. Rose's first instinct is to decline such a lavish gift, but her protests dies away as she thought of their shared past. She remembers when Tian's father had been the one making deliveries to her grandmother, and how Tian himself had stood by her side to help with the burial when the old woman passed. Bound by years of kindness and mutual grief, she finds she simply could not say no to him. A few nights later, Harij visits her again. When she hears the bell and sees him riding the boat towards her, she hurriedly changes onto her new robe. She hesitates for a moment, thinking that he will suspect her trying to look nice for him, but she heaves an air of confidence and walks toward the door to greet him. She inspects the new ingredient he brought, and while at it, she notices how tired he is. She offers him a broth that can revitalize a person. But he politely declines. She bows her head in disappointment, believing that he is still wary of her. She returns to her work, and with her distracted mind she accidentally breaks a bowl. Harij asks what it is, but Rose says it is nothing. Harij grabs this opportunity to tell her that her place really needs some tidying up. He sounds like he has been wanting to say that for quite some time. Her home is not particularly dirty, but it has a lot of witchcraft objects and books cluttered everywhere. He even lifts a plate of lettuces that looks like it has been from a few days ago. He curiously asks if there is any special reason as to why she only eats lettuce. To his surprise and horror, Rose answers that it is the only vegetable that grows in her garden. It is also convenient for her since it can be eaten raw. In her lifestyle, eating is secondary. He walks toward her and grabs her wrists. Measuring it with his grip, he complains that a chicken leg has more meat than she does. His sudden nearness causes Rose to get flustered. And as soon as Harij notices it, he gently releases her and apologizes for invading her space. Rose struggles to change the subject and announces that with the ingredients now complete, she will already start brewing the love potion. It will, however, take 1 whole month to be completed. He sighs for the long process, but does not argue about it. The next day, Rose takes a swim in the lake. She feels sad that in 1 month, her regular interactions with Harij will come to an end. Lost in thought, she decides to walk out into the lake and remove all her clothings. With the nice weather, she finds it would be good to do the laundry as well. The bell's ring catches her half undressed. But Rose does not panic. With Tien's visit behind her and Harij's return will be due weeks away, she figures a deer has simply stumbled into her perimeter once again. But she is wrong. When she looks up, she finds Harij standing on the opposite shore. He stands like a statue, caught mid-stride and paralyzed by the sight of her naked body, basking under the sun. As soon as he gets his senses back, he yells an apology while turning away. Rose runs behind the shed and grabs her robe. When she returns, she finds Harij still standing with his back on her. She tells him she is clothed and may now ride the boat to reach her. Another apology rushes out from Harij's lips as soon as he reaches her. But Rose cuts him off, desperate to assure him that the fault is hers alone. In her lingering heat of embarrassment, her guard crumbles and she accidentally addresses him by name, revealing a familiarity she has never intended to show. This stops and confuses Harij as they never once introduced themselves to each other. He is supposedly just a random knight, and Rose a lady witch. That sums up how they have been acknowledging each other for the past how many weeks. And so her eyes widen in her carelessness and stammers to search for an excuse that may sound believable. But she only ends up with a jumble of incoherent words that make no sense at all. He interrupts her mutterings by asking since when did she know who he really is. She gives a curt reply of 4 years. It's his turn to have his eyes widen. He is surprised to hear that she has known him for that long. Before he could ask further, Rose begins to hyperventilate and all the while begging him not to ask her anything else. He suspiciously stared at her and asked her why. Backed into a corner, Rose scrambles for an explanation. And the words, with powers of their own, come tumbling out of her tongue before she could stop them. She claims that the price of a witch's power is the absolute inability to lie, a magical burden that forces her to be honest, even when she does not want to be. As soon as she blurts it out, Rose clutches her robe to herself, wanting to strangle her throat. Her chest tightens until she could no longer breathe. Eyes clouded with panic, her guilt rises knowing she has exposed the sacred secret of the witches. A truth sealed within those born within the circle. Hysteria surges through her, sending her bolting towards her potion shelves. Her mind races with the gravity of her slip. She has just betrayed her kind by exposing their supposed weakness. Beneath that terror lays an even more personal dread. If he truly believes she is incapable of lying, then every word she speaks threatens to reveal the secret love she has fought so hard to bury for so many years. Her hands scramble through the rows of glass, searching for a final remedy, a toxin that could serve as penance. In her spiraling mind, the only way to atone for the essence of endangering her kind and exposing her heart is to silence herself forever. Harij runs to her and stops her in time. He grabs the bottle away from her reach. He then removes the glove on his left hand and extends it to her. When she takes it, he leads her to a nearby chair to calm her. He then bends on his knees, bows his head and sincerely apologizes for pressuring her into revealing a secret so important that she would choose death. He swears on his honor as a knight that the secret is safe with him. After a long, heavy silence, the air in the room finally begins to clear. Harij moves to break the tension, his voice taking on a teasing tone as he remarks how glad he is to have intervened. Otherwise, he jokes, he would have been forced to finish the entire basket of food he has brought all by himself. He finally shows her the reason for his visit. He has brought her a meal because he is worried of her eating habits. Rose looks at the bread for a brief moment, savoring the feeling of Harij thinking of her when he saw and brought the bread in town. She thanks him as her heart hammers through her chest. He catches her hand just as she went for a bite, asking if she actually meant to eat on a random chair. Without waiting for an answer, he gently pushes to clear her table so she could enjoy the basket properly. She mutters in her breath that this is why it is hard to deal with noble people. Harij without any ounce of offense tells her that she can hear her complaints clearly. With her head still bowed down, she does as he bids. Finally the two of them are now sitting face to face on the table. He opens the basket and spreads apple jam on a piece of bread. He then hands it to Rose, who seems amazed that there is such a thing. Tempted by the smell, she digs her way and finishes the bread. While Rose allows herself to be captivated by the sweetness of the jam and the softness of the bread, Hari's gaze never left her. He watches her with an intensity that should have been piercing, and yet it is tempered by an unmistakable gentleness. He recalls the conversation that had originally brought him there to Rose. The reason why he needed a love potion. Princess Villora had cast aside her royal persona one night, addressing him not as an elite knight, but with the familiarity given to a friend. It was then that she made an earnest request that felt more like a family secret than a royal command. She appealed to him that he obtain for her a love potion. Harij Azam is the third-born son of Count Azam. His family is highly esteemed in the kingdom of Maryan. He is knighted at the age of 20 and has become a royal knight. His primary task is to guard Princess Villora. The princess, despite her tender age of 16 years, is everything a royal daughter should be. She has excellent manners and a tender heart. Harij cherishes her like a younger sister, and she looks up to him like an older brother. The request has filled him with dread. Love potions are dangerous things, unnatural elixirs that twists the heart's will. And procuring one requires a journey into the world of witchcraft. Had he been caught, the rumors alone could tarnish the crown's reputation. But looking at the princess, who has never once asked for anything for herself, he could not bring himself to say no. He knows exactly what has driven her to this desperation, and he could not let her face it alone. And so he travels to find the one person who can grant this request. After getting lost multiple times, he finally reaches the hermitage and meets the witch of the lake, who lives in a small cottage that is dark and cluttered. Although she has accepted his order for a love potion, he was cautious because she keeps sending him away on erratic errands. She also shrouds herself under her old cloak, limiting his view of her face and expressions. So on the day that he was bringing her food, he is awestruck when she rose out of the water. He wonders if he stumbled upon a fairy living in the lake. He knows the witch is not an old woman, but her never thought that she is a young lady. And although he really is sorry for chancing upon her undressed state, he is able to know more about her. He learns that despite looking dubious, witches are incapable of lying. He also realizes that whatever earnings she get, it is only enough to get her by. There is not even an excess for her to afford tailored dresses. She also likes bread and apple jam. In short, the lady witch is actually just a normal girl. He smiles, thinking it is a good decision on his part to bring her some food. He then asks her if she lives by herself, because for someone like her it could be dangerous. He is alarmed to hear that she is indeed alone. This is why she keeps a low profile, so as not to catch too much attention. And if someone conspicuous comes loitering around, she immediately hides in the floor cellar. Harij finds her condition wrong and disquieting. He has been raised believing that women and children are to be protected at all times. And yet she speaks as if her situation is normal. As much as he wants to comment on it, he knows he is not in the position to intervene in her affairs. He tightens his lips to keep himself from saying anything, but he really finds it worrisome. The very next day, he comes back with another basket of food. This surprises Rose, but with the delicious scent she could smell from him, she welcomes him. She is also glad that despite their encounter in the lake yesterday, the mood between them has not been awkward. In contrary, they have become more open and their conversations have become more spontaneous. While Rose prepares the food, Harij takes one of the two chairs he sat on the other day. He opens a book and reads like it is the most natural thing to do. He overhears Rose comment on the tea she is preparing that the quality is already moldy. His eyes widen by her description and grabs it from her. He says he will bring a set of fresh tea leaves tomorrow. Rose smiles to herself, hearing that he is coming back again the next day. At the same time, he inquires if she has any tea that she likes. Still reeling from the shock of his interest on her preferences, Rose voices her concern, insisting that his journey there must be an immense inconvenience. Harij is quick to dismiss the notion. He explains that there has also been a relentless push within his unit for him to finally take some of his leaves. When she counters that he should be using that time for proper rest and relaxation. He looks at her and around the lake and admits that her place makes him feel at peace. The days continue that Harij would visit her, bringing with him different kinds of food for her to try. When Rose attempts to use the kept tableware on the upper cupboard, Harij is quick to his feet to help her. He reaches from her back to open the top cabinet. He stops midway, warning her to step aside just in case things come falling down when he opens it. He is cautious because he is aware that Rose is not the most tidy person he knows. True to his premonition, there are plenty of plates and jars in the cabinet. Rose gives instructions that what she needs is behind the jar, but he must make sure not to touch the small bottle near it and not to brush against the paper bag in front. Before she could continue with more reminders, Harij carries her on her waist and tells her to grab the plate herself. When he sets her down, he notices that she still weighs so light and should continue eating properly. Rose, who is still recovering from the surprise of being carried, replies nothing about it. She eagerly places the new plates on the table and Harij compliments that they look beautiful. She is about to say that she wants to set it when he brings her food, but she stops herself thinking that it is wrong for her to assume that he will keep on visiting her. Her excitement slowly turns to sadness. Harij, a bit distracted by her covered head, slowly takes the hood down. She shrieks that she does not want her face to be seen. He gently insists that he wants to see her, but she repeats that she must hide her face from her customers as means of protection. Harij says that she does not need to hide from him. He adds that since he already knows her secret, then all the more there is no reason for her to be wary of him. He adds that she can be comfortably honest with him whenever she also feels like saying nothing. Rose tries to understand the meaning of his words. She mulls that perhaps this is his way of comforting her after finding out her lonesome situation and her weakness on lying. She finally agrees and leaves her face open. She smiles at him with a bit of shyness, saying that it has been a long time since she ever talked to anyone face to face. He stares at her and says her face is cute as he has imagined. Rose's face turns crimson red. She pushes the cloak down on her face again and tells him that she is never taking it off again. The days continue with Harij visiting her and bringing her food. While Rose prepares their tea, instead of using an hourglass to time the seeping of the leaves, she sings a song. When it ends, then it is time to serve the tea. Harij drinks it and compliments the taste as unique. As he sips, he thinks it will blend well with milk and that he will bring her some next time. This brings a smile on Rose's face because it means he will be coming back again tomorrow. He also brings up the topic regarding her eating habits. He reminds her that her diet does not give enough nutrition for a young lady like her. He inquires if she has other relatives aside from her grandmother. Rose explains that she only has her mother, but sadly, she remembers nothing about her. She is also not aware if she has a father or any siblings. Harij exclaims that she at least must have a father in order to be born. But Rose replies nothing. As he spreads jam on a fresh piece of bread for Rose, Harij casually inquires about the chant she used for the tea, wondering if it is a family legacy from her grandmother. Rose denies it, admitting she had always lacked an interest in music. But the thought lingers, turning into a startling revelation. If the song was not from her grandmother, then whose voice had carved those notes so firmly into her memory? Reading her thoughts, Harij leans in with a gentle expression, softly suggesting that the melody is a beautiful, lingering echo of her mother. This brings Rose into a happy and sentimental mood. Guarding the princess during her daily routine, Harij maintains a facade of calm professionalism, although his mind is troubled. The countdown to her wedding day weighs heavily on him. The union is a strategic necessity for the kingdom, yet it feels like a sentence for the princess, who is being tied to a man old enough to be her grandfather. He understands the desperation behind her plea for a love potion. She wants a magical delusion to help her survive the coming years. Haunted by this, Harij vows to return to the Lady Witch immediately. Delivering that potion is no longer just an order from the princess, it is his final act of mercy to ease the burden on her heart. When Tian steps into Rose's hermitage during his regular visits, he pauses and blinks at the organized shelves and decluttered place. He crosses the room and sits down on the chair that has recently been claimed by a royal knight. Rose's heart skips. She feels a sudden urge to stop him, as if that seat now belongs exclusively to Harij. She bites her lip, dismissing the feeling as a ridiculous flight of fancy. On the other side of the lake, Harij stands holding 2 baskets of baked apples. He is excited to see how delighted Rose will be when she tastes it. His excitement turns to confusion when he gets no greetings from her. Normally, she would at least peek from her window to check who caused the bell to ring from the dock. His eyes narrow as he realizes the boat is missing from the shore. A sharp, unexpected prickle of irritation rises within him at the thought of her entertaining another guest. He immediately catches himself, questioning why he even cared. He is here for a mission, nothing more. If he brings her provisions, it is merely a practical investment to ensure she does not collapse from hunger before the love potion is complete. While he contemplates his reaction, Rose finally exits her house with another person. He feels conflicted as she is seeing the person off and is even chatting with him with a sense of familiarity. His mood truly spirals downward when the man pulled back her hood. He stands frozen, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. All this time, he has secretly cherished the belief that he is the only one she trusted enough to show her face. When Tian finally leaves and reaches Harij on the dock, he apologizes for making him wait, adding that he did not think any other visitors would be dropping by that day. Harij gives a curt reply saying that he also thought the same. Despite the shadows cast by his cloak, Tian catches a clear glimpse of the knight's features. He beams, remarking with genuine delight on how handsome Harij is and teasingly asks if Rose has ever mentioned it. The compliment slides off Harij. He could not have cared less about the flattery. His entire focus is fixed on a single, aggravating detail. The man knows her name and he has just casually let it slip from his tongue. Harij wastes no time. Upon reaching Rose, he hurriedly asks who that man is. But Rose, bound to confidentiality, states that she is not allowed to divulge customer details. He sighs knowing he will not be getting any more information from her. At the sound of his exhaled frustration, Rose looks up to him, her voice laced with concern as she asks if the man had said something to offend him. Harij resigns to the fact that Rose will tell nothing more. He brushes of his own question and gives her the 2 baskets. When she turns to go back inside, he calls her Rose. When she stops on her tracks and stares at him in bewilderment, he is able to confirm that Rose is indeed her name. Without thinking, he asks her permission if he could start calling her that. But due to the shock of him knowing and voicing out her name, she vehemently declines. Wave of disappointment rushes through Harij. Since he is aware that Rose is incapable of lying, then that truly is her sentiment. Ignoring the sting of her rejection, Harij moves past her and disappears into the house. But his frustration only deepens upon entering. There, at the small table where they usually shared their quiet moments, are the remnants of another person's presence. Seeing his chair occupied by a stranger felt like an unexpected intrusion. All the while, he is being full of himself thinking he is somewhat special simply because he has not seen her entertaining others. And yet here was a man who sat on that chair, called her name casually, saw her face and drank tea with her. He sighs heavily and comments that he is done for the day. Rose confused asks him what he means by that when he has just recently arrived and does he not feel well. With his face still cloaked, he just says that his chest feels heavy. She takes it at face value and hurriedly searches for a bottle of medicine for him. Out on her usual errand of collecting potion ingredients, Rose comes across with a group of kids. They start throwing mud balls at her and proclaims that she is a weird person. They boast that they are not afraid of her being a witch. Rose quietly accepts their insults and boards her boat to escape. Upon reaching the other side of the lake, Harij waits for her and inquires why there was a bunch of kids running around her. But seeing her muddy condition, Harij does not wait for her to reply. He rows the boat back to the forest and returns carrying the kids. The children wiggles their way out of Harij. But he does not release them until they admit their mistake. The struggle continues but the kids are being stubborn. A few moments later, adults come running with their makeshift weapons, believing that the children has been kidnapped. But they stop on their tracks as soon as they see Harij. His attire is a giveaway that he is a noble knight. The adults hesitates and asks what is going on. Harij points out that the children are being impolite and rude to Rose. The kids instantly claim that they saw her come out of the cabin, and so she is definitely the witch and must have done something bad in town. They are only trying to defeat her before she does more terrifying things. The adults, fearing the witch might punish them, tries to hush the children. They start mumbling empty praises to Rose, calling her the great witch of the lake, and they request pardon for the children. Rose, feeling disheartened by how the people really see her, whispers that she is not really great. She clenches her hand trying desperately not to cry and wallow in self-pity. Harij has had enough. He scolds both the adults and the children that throwing mud at anyone is wrong. It does not matter whether if it's at a great person or a witch. But the kids remain adamant that the forest will be better if the witch will just disappear. Harij finally asks them if Rose has done anything awful to them. They all shook their heads. He continues that people normally fear the unknown and hate what they cannot fully comprehend. He then asks permission from Rose if he could share what she does in her hermitage. She nods her head in agreement. Sadness still clouds her face. Harij addresses the crowd, highlighting how Rose's alchemy enriches their daily lives. He explains how she formulates treatments to shield their crops from infestations and crafts potent remedies for various ailments. As he continues to list the countless ways her work sustains the village, his tone shifts. He concludes by demanding that the people finally offer her the apology she deserves. The children tremble under the weight of his commanding voice, yet they remain paralyzed by silence. His patience finally snaps. Harij hauls them up once more, threatening to let them reflect on their mistakes in the depths of the lake. Terrified, the children stammer out a hasty apology, but it rings shallow to Harij. But Rose's intervention stops his hand as she insists they have surely learned their lesson. Harij concedes to Rose but refuses to let the people leave without a final word. He declares that punishing the wicked is not a matter of magic, but a matter of morality, knowing what is right and what is wrong. His point made, he coldly dismisses the assembly. Watching the crowd disperse, Harij notices Rose trembling, her clothes soaked and stained with the mud the children had hurled. He immediately drapes his cloak over her shoulders, cocooning her in his warmth. As his gaze lingered on her, he could not resist reaching out to thumb away a stray of mud from her cheek. He murmurs, his voice softening, that if she ever find herself in trouble again, she must promise to tell him. And he will be there. Rose contemplates how warm those words are. But she knows that she cannot keep on relying on him. Once the potion is done, he will be gone. She gently refuses him, explaining she has been independent all her life. Although she appreciates him defending her earlier, she needs to find a way to make things work by herself. After her defiant declaration, Rose stole a hesitant glance at Harij, her heart sinking as she wonders if her independence had insulted him. He looks caught off guard, a flicker of surprise crossing his features, but he remains silent. She takes this cue to leave. She bows her head again in gratitude and tells him she will return his cloak the next time they meet. A week later, the love potion is ready. Harij arrives with a basket of bread to find Rose waiting with the potion in hand. She watches him closely as he inspects the vial, her voice steady as she details the risks. She cautions him that once consumed, it acts as a powerful physical and mental stimulant, heightening all senses and intensifying desire. The aphrodisiac effect is a natural byproduct. She adds that the love it will evoke will last for half a day. Rose lays out the mechanics of the spell. The potion would not work alone. It has to be combined with the user's body fluids to act as a bridge. She suggests pouring the concoction into the intended person's cup, as mixing the two liquids is the simplest way to ensure they were consumed. Harij teases her that with this information, he will never accept any drinks offered to him by anyone from then on. Rose has bittersweet feelings upon seeing him smile. This might be the last time she will be getting a visit from him, and she doubts if they will ever cross paths in town. Taking a steadying breath, Rose pushes a mug toward him. With a practiced hand, she adds a single drop of the love potion, just enough for a fleeting, few-minute window. "Let me prove its potency to you," she murmurs, her voice barely a whisper. Before he could protest, she takes another deep breath and drains the cup in one swallow. Though she is the one who brewed it, Rose is completely unprepared for the sheer force of the potion. Her heart races as every one of Harij's features became painfully beautiful to her, the way he looks at her, the quiet kindness he had shown her despite her reputation as a witch. The old spark of love she has tried to douse flared into a wildfire. Startled by her sudden intensity, Harij leans in, his voice filled with concern as he asks if she is all right. Bound by her nature to never speak a lie, Rose finds herself paralyzed, unable to confess her love and unwilling to deny it. She simply pulls her hood down, hiding her crimson face in the shadows. She knows her reality. She may be lacking in the area of romance, but she is not naive enough to confess nor wish for him to see her as a woman. The only thing she can do right now with this overwhelming emotion is to stay quiet and protect herself from the pain. Harij finds himself reaching for her with the plea to show her face to him, but Rose is firm to decline him. Unable to resist himself, he assumes she is feeling in love with him because of the potion and gently holds her arms. He apologizes for the difficulty she is currently enduring. Rose replies that she is fine. She adds that the whole thing is just emotionally painful for her. Harij tries to understand what she means. But he really finds it confusing and it makes him utterly worried as to why she is in pain. With the potion magnifying every hidden spark of her affection, Rose feels herself drowning in her own devotion to him. She admits to him, through the sting of unshed tears, that her pain comes from knowing his heart belongs to another, and that his need for the love potion is the ultimate proof of her own lost cause. Although he owes her no explanation, Harij could not bear the misunderstanding. He confesses that the potion is not for him and he has no intention of using it. At his words, Rose's head snapped up, her eyes instantly flooding with a mixture of desperate hope and profound relief. She reaches out, pulling his hand to her cheek to savor the lingering warmth of his skin. With a radiant, sweet smile, she presses his fingers to her lips. Harij froze, his heart hammering against his ribs as a flush crept up his neck. Every instinct tells him to pull away, to maintain his distance, but he was utterly mesmerized. He murmurs her name on his breath. And for the first time, Rose allows him to call her that. But only just this once, she says. Still drawn in by an invisible thread, he reaches out to cup her chin, tilting her face towards his. They hover there, just inches apart, their breaths mingling in the small space between them as their hearts beat in a wild, frantic rhythm. And just as Harij is about to lose himself in the moment, Rose's hands flew up, pressing firmly against his lips. The spell had broken, the minutes were up. With a sudden, professional clarity that replaces her recent warmth, she looks at him and asks if he is satisfied with the results of the demonstration. The following morning, Rose finds herself replaying the previous night's events as she hands out the final product to Harij. This is the conclusion of their contract, the moment their paths would officially diverge. Despite his confession that the potion is not for his own use, a heavy cloud of depression hangs over her at the thought of his permanent departure. With a heavy heart, she forces herself up, dragging her feet as she begins her daily chores. She begins by silencing the cowbell, finding its cheerful chime a painful reminder of his presence. One by one, she tucks the mug and cutlery he had used back into the uppermost cupboard, hiding the evidence of their shared meals. But just as she finished stripping the tablecloth and clearing the last of him away, she receives an unexpected visitor. Harij is back in her hermitage. Aside from surprise, she is confused. She automatically asks if there is something wrong with the potion. Because what other reason could he have to be back in her place? He answers that the elixir is already with the rightful owner, and although the success of its usage is none of his business, he trusts her of its efficacy. Rose panics. Is Harij going to bring up what happened last time between them? Because she still remembers everything clearly. She is not going to try to pretend that none of it ever occurred, but she never expected that she will be seeing him again. Trying to avoid being remembered as a romantic fool, Rose assures him that he should forget what transpired the day she sipped the love potion. The only reason she was that way was because of the influence of the drug. But it has all worn out already, so there is nothing he should worry about. A few moments of silence have passed, and with Harij still saying nothing, Rose asks him what other business does he still have with her. She waits patiently at Harij, whose expression is unreadable. Finally, he looks at her and speaks her name. Rose. He said it softly, but to her it is the only thing she heard at that moment. When she recovers, she reacts that she only allowed him to say her name that one time because of the potion. Before she can continue her banter, Harij notices that the tablecloth has been removed. Rose explains that she assumed he will no longer visit the cottage. He then raises the basket of food he is holding and tells her she needs to continue to eat properly. Rose tries to decline, saying she has already received his payment and should no longer accept anything more from him. In her mind, she adds that if she does, she will definitely yearn for more. Every day, she will continue to want more, until her hopes get higher and higher. She fell in love with him all on her own, and it is due time that she ends that feeling on her own. Her heart might not survive any longer if she allows this unrequited love to linger. With her head still bowed in, declining the basket, Harij calmly says that if that is the case, then he would like to order a love potion once more. Rose thought she heard him wrong. She gapes at him as asks him to repeat what he said. Again, he tells her in a straight tone that he wishes to purchase a love potion again. As soon as the words are out of him, he looks away, as if evading any further queries. Even in her daze, she could not be deterred. She presses him if this one will be for him this time, her confusion still swirling like the contents of her cauldrons. Harij let a slow, knowing smirk pull at his lips and reminds her of the witch's code of confidentiality. His voice dropping to a whisper as he adds her name, Rose, at the end of his sentence. Cornered by his gaze, she could not find the strength to snap at him for using her name so freely. Instead, she simply sighs and accepts his new request. In Harij's estate, right after he received his first order of love potion from Rose, he remained dazed by their interaction that night. He remembers her taking his hand onto her face and smiling sweetly at him. At first, he did not want to accommodate her, especially after she coldly told him he was not allowed to utter her name. But the second his gaze landed on her, any lingering irritation evaporated into nothingness. He found himself surrendering. Whatever she did, he was hopelessly transfixed, unable to pull his eyes away from her. Logic had entirely deserted him, leaving him with no will of his own other than to fulfill her every whim. Remembering every detail of that moment, he berated himself. Rose is a business associate. He should not have done what he did, knowing the whole time that her emotions were just illusions created by the love potion she took. But other than the disappointment he felt for not being able to restrain himself, he could not ignore that when Rose woke up from the potion, she was so calm, the most calm he has ever seen her. He knew he should have been relieved of her indifference, and yet for some reason, he felt sad and frustrated. Through the long days and restless nights that followed, she became a phantom that refused to leave him. The memory of her voice, the lingering ghost of her warmth, and the depth of her gaze served as a relentless taunt. A constant, heavy throbbing took root in his chest, an ache that refused to subside. It was a bitter irony. By all accounts, it felt as though he were the one who had swallowed the love potion. And so he decided to give her a visit, to clear this matter with her. That was the initial intent. But Rose spoke first and reminded him that all that she did that night was under the influence of the potion and everything has worn off from her. He was frozen with her words. For him, every detail of that night remains etched in his memory. His eyes roamed her cabin, and all that was familiar to him were gone. Even the tablecloth was gone. He may not have a label of whatever they had, but all this time he thought they shared a special bond, and those days they share eating together would just naturally continue. The realization hit him like a physical blow. He had been utterly mistaken. That night was really just an artificial high for Rose. It is certainly not the hidden feelings surfacing from a heart that could not lie. He wanted to be angry, but more than that, it felt painful. As the silence stretched, a cold, clawing desperation took hold. If he decides to let this moment slip away, he would lose her to the shadows forever. Panicked and grasping for any reason to keep her close, he blurted out the first thing his mind could conjure. He placed an order for another love potion. With Rose's acceptance of the new commission, Harij retreats to the solitude of his home. His mind a turbulent mess of contradictions. He is still unable to grasp the exact nature of why her indifference has cut so deep. Yet, beneath the sting of her apathy, a slow smile tugs at his lips. The potion is an excuse, but it worked. He has successfully bartered for more of her time, anchoring himself to her world for just a little longer. This brings strange satisfaction to his chest. Leaning back, his thoughts shifted on what food he would bring for her to eat during their next meeting. As the season begins to change once more, leaving autumn behind, Rose rushes in preparing her hut for the winter. She has been busy as well with Harij's new order of love potion. Consequently, he has been frequenting her hermitage bringing again the needed ingredients, and several times just spending the afternoon with her eating and drinking tea. Every night Rose stays late at night convincing herself to let go of this unrequited love, but her feelings are hopelessly stubborn as she finds herself every morning, without fail, to be still in love with him. Her winter preparation gets interrupted when she gazes a person lumped on the dock at the other side. The person stands up and turns out to be a beautiful lady. Rose asks if she is a customer. The lady says no, but requests if she could stay and get warmth in her place for a while. The lady introduces herself as Lao. Rose senses no danger from her. In fact, the lady seems nervous. She also notices that she has been walking with her indoor shoes and is not properly ready for the chilly weather. She adds wood to the fire to hide in the heat of the room. She takes a bucket of hot water and seeks Lady Lao's permission if she can clean the splinters on her foot. Lady Lao sets her foot in the bucket and asks Rose if she is not curious who she really is. Rose does not even look up from her work. Her voice is steady, anchored by the discipline of her craft as she replies that witches are not privy of their customers nor they are into gossiping about the people seeking their potions. For them, regardless of status, they will assist anyone needing their help. Feeling her sincerity, Lady Lao opens her heart. She confesses to Rose that she will be going away and may never return to the land that she was born to love and protect. Even though she is aware of this from the start, she is still not prepared now that the actual day has come. She is to be wed to a man far too old for her, and so needs something to give her support and strength. If she could love the man, even with an illusion, then perhaps she would be able to push forward despite all the circumstances. And so she seeks help from the Witch of the Lake. Rose hastily tells her it would be an honor. A radiant, genuine smile breaks across Lady Lao's face. There is something profoundly healing in the way Rose listened, without judgment, or the weight of expectation. Simply having an unadulterated ear to lean on makes the heavy burden she carried feel suddenly lighter. The boat bell suddenly chimes, indicating another visitor. Rose sees Harij on the other side. She excuses herself from Lady Lau, saying that she will simply turn away her acquaintance for today. She then rides her boat to meet Harij. When she meets him, he apologizes for the urgency of the matter and frantically asks if she has any spells on finding something that is lost or any tools to locate a missing person. But before Rose could even grasp what he is requesting, she hears Lady Lau greeting Harij and waving at both of them. When he looks at the lady, he exclaimed her real name, Princess Billora. He is not able to hide the surprise and relief from his face and immediately retracts his request of spells and tools from Rose. Apparently, the princess has been lost in thoughts and have walked out of her chamber searching for a temporary solace. Her absence has already caused chaos in the palace. Harij urges her to return with him immediately as everyone is worried as well. Princess Billora smiles apologetically at him and at the same time to Rose for cutting their conversation short. She hopes that next time they will have more time together and be able to enjoy a cup of tea. Before she turns to exit her cabin, Rose stops her and offers her a pair of boots. She says that it is a gift from Tian and has never been used. The mention of another man's name does not escape Harij, but he says nothing about it. He did, however, apologize for disturbing her and leaving abruptly. He also promises that he will come back to make it up to her. Rose misreads the whole situation. She thought that she finally understood his reason for the second order of love potion. Driven by her jealousy, she weaves a theory that Harij is in love with the princess and needs the potion for her to drink so she will not forget him when it is time to leave. He squeezes her cheeks and flatly denies her speculation. But instead of feeling upset over her accusation, he smiles at her tenderly as if she is the most adorable person he has ever seen. He caresses her hair but offers no further explanation. He only repeats his promise of return. Princess Billora witnesses the whole interaction. She smiles at the two of them as she waits for Harij to join her. That night, he comes back to Rose's cabin. Rose is surprised to see him so soon. Harij explains that he has sent home the princess and there are other knights assigned with escorting her. He proceeds to show his gratitude for taking good care of the princess. He then notices that Rose is dressed to go out. He changes the course of his talk to asking if she is really going out in the middle of the night. To which she replied with a yes. His gaze lowers at her boots and is surprised to see that she has another pair. Rose tells him he is rude to think that she only has one. He said it is natural for him to think that since he knows she only has one robe. As such, he wanted to return the boots right away in the fear that her feet will be cold. Rose adamantly tells him that the princess can keep the pair since she can easily get new things for Tian. She boasts that Tian sends her whatever items she needs. This suddenly irritates Harij. He questions the identity of Tian. Why would he give her gifts and provide her what she needs? Rose notices the change in his mood. But since he said nothing, she ignores him and invites him if he would like to join her. She rows the boat in a specific spot in the lake. Harij looks around and asks what is so special about that spot. But Rose became quiet and serious. Behind her the moon is full and bright. The wind calm and serene. She then pulls out a vial from her robe pocket. She tells Harij that the water from the lake touching the moonlight is one of the ingredients for a love potion. It is a trade secret so he must swear to secrecy. She lifts the small bottle against the night sky and dreamily comments, "Is it not beautiful?" Harij, looking not at the bottle but at Rose, wistfully agrees. Back at the cabin, Harij continues to stare at Rose who is currently brewing the potion with the moonlit water they just harvested. Pretending not to be overly conscious, she tells him to chat with her. His silence is making her tense. Harij wakes up from his daze and asks how she always knows when a customer comes by. She explains that the bell by the dock is enchanted. It automatically rings when there is someone nearby. There are also many instances when the bell has rang from wild animals, and so it could possibly ring at any time of the day and night. Harij finds this alarming. Rose's body, who is aware that the bell may ring anytime, is on constant alert 24/7. This means that she has not had any proper sleep for years now. Rose tries to explain her sleeping routine but Harij has already thrown her in bed. He pushes her down when she tries to sit up. He demands her to go to sleep. He scolds her that she already has a bad eating habit, works with dangerous ingredients, and now he discovers that she has not been sleeping well at night either. Rose tells him that as a knight, he himself is also half awake at night. He reasons, however, that he has other knights to swap shifts with, while Rose only has herself. Since both are being stubborn, they share a stare down for a few seconds. Until finally, Rose concedes. He assures her that should anyone visit while she sleeps, he will fetch them and bring them to her. She should not worry about anything, just relax and sleep. Rose snuggled in her bed. With Harije's soothing voice and warm security, she is in dreamland in no time at all.
This story is to be continued.